one and all. So, yesterday I went to see Weathering with You, and really happy I did. Almost didn't. I woke up not feeling a little under the weather, that thing where your skin's on fire and you can't stop screaming from the pain. We've all been there. Thankfully, it passed quickly enough that I managed to get to the mall, grab a quick bite to eat at Dave & Buster's, beat my high score at skee ball, and then hit the movie, and it was absolutely freaking amazing, and I loved it! This was written and directed by Makoto Shinkai, the same guy that made Your Name, and after walking out of the theater, I had to really stop and think, okay, so which one was better? And that's definitely not an easy question to answer, so let's kind of break it down to categories. In terms of the overall story, I kind of feel like Weathering with You takes a while to get where it needs to go. Like, there's no real drama or anything for the first 70% of it. That's not to say I didn't enjoy the first 70% of it, but it's just like, okay, they're all living their happy lives. It's cool. We're having fun. And then all of a sudden it's like explosions and police chases and human sacrifices. And I'm like, where the frick did this come from? Whereas Your Name, like after 30% of the movie, it's like, okay, this is the hook, this is drama, this is what we have to do, this is the conflict. The guy needs to find the girl. And that's what's going to happen for the rest of the movie. I also think the overall conclusion, Your Name, was better. Like, the last 30% of Your Name was better than the last 30% of Weathering with You. Like, the big drama, the conclusion, all that. I felt more drama and emotion from it than I did with Weathering with You. And yet, with all that being said, I've seen Your Name twice. First in theaters, and then again I watched Flaming Shark react to it, and I don't really feel a need to watch it again. Like, ever. Maybe in, like, 10 years or so, but whatever, there's something about the movie that just didn't make me want to rewatch it, even though I loved it so much. I'm not sure what that was. And yet, with Weathering with You, I want to go in. I want to re-experience this movie all over again. I want to watch it every year for the rest of my life, essentially. Maybe it's just because, like I said, it was more slice of life for the first half. It was more just people enjoying their lives, people having fun. Maybe just the side characters, because, I mean, I'm not saying I hated the side characters in Your Name, but they weren't really memorable in any significant way. And they felt more just like foils for the main characters to get where they had to go. I mean, for this movie, I really want to know more about, like, every one of the other characters. I want a full backstory of their lives, what they end up doing. And Lil Nagi, I freaking love that kid. I want to know so much more about him. I will talk about it more when I get into the spoiler section of this video. So yeah, Weathering with You is something I think I'd enjoy watching again, even though I think Your Name was overall better in terms of storytelling. Next up is the art, and this is pretty tricky as well. I think Your Name had better shots overall. I mean, there were like these freaking rainbow scenes of the comet going across the sky and everything else that are absolutely breathtaking and still amaze me years later. Whereas Weathering with You felt more muted most of the time. I mean, for good chunks of the movie, it's always raining, so everything looks kind of drab, and then they bring out the bright colors a few times sun comes out. But it felt like there was more attention to detail in Weathering with You. Like with the rain coming down, you could watch the individual drops going across the screen, across a character, and it just made every little scene look so much better. So while Your Name had scenes that looked better than anything in Weathering with You, as a whole, Weathering with You looked better than Your Name. If you get what I'm saying there. Alright, and finally, the music. Yeah, no competition whatsoever. Weathering with You blew away Your Name completely, and I thought the soundtrack was absolutely amazing. So much better. The music was actually done by the same rock band, Radwimps, but I just feel like they did such a better job with Weathering with You. I mean, seriously, their one song, Grand Escape, I found on YouTube like a month ago. I've probably listened to it 100 times since then, and it just absolutely blows me away every single time. It was actually said in an interview with the creator that he animated the movie around the soundtracks. Like, he sent them a script, they sent him the songs, and he just made the movie based on those songs, which you can just really feel in the movie. I mean, it wasn't that like I said, it's not that the songs are made for the movie, it's the movie was made for those songs, and just shines through so much. I thought it was absolutely amazing. Now I want to talk about the ending, so spoiler alert! If you have not seen the movie, go see it. I don't care if you have to pirate it, just go see the freaking movie. They destroyed Tokyo! That is a city with a population of 10 million people, and they sunk it! Why? Why? I mean, the whole concept of, oh, you must be sacrificed for the greater good, isn't that uncommon in films, books, video games? I can think of a dozen different examples, but this isn't usually how it ends. I mean, usually on rare occasions, the person, makes sacrifice, dies for the good of the world, but more often than not, they go find the angel, demon, or god that's making the sacrifice necessary and go kill it. And then they don't have to sacrifice the person, so hurrah! Or they find some kind of loophole. Like in one of the early episodes of Yu Yu Hakusho, Kurama tries to sacrifice his life to a magic mirror to save his mother's life. And when Yusuke runs in and says, "No, mirror, take my life instead," the mirror's like, "Before your selflessness, I shall spare your lives and save your mother." Which I liked at the time, but now it just kind of screams cop-out because they couldn't think of any better way to end that. But actually denying the sacrifice and letting the whole world burn, I mean, literally the only other time I can think of it happening is in the movie Cabin in the Woods, where at the end of the movie they decide, okay, so now we can either kill ourselves or not kill ourselves and ancient evil gods would come out and destroy the entire world. I'd rather not kill ourselves. Agreed. Let's just let the entire world burn. And that's an entire movie about just denying expectations. Yeah, in this one, they definitely denied my expectations. I mean, I was really expecting, when he went into the sky with her, they talked to the weather gods or something and be like, oh, because you came back for her, she can go back to the mortal realm. Your sacrifice of willing to give yourself up was enough. But nope. They just decided to let Tokyo flood. Let millions of people become homeless or die because of it just so you can save the one girl. Why? I mean, Fumi, the grandmother, said something about along the lines of how Tokyo used to be submerged and over time it became a full prospering city. So maybe something happens like every 100 years or so, a weather maiden is selected, raised up, given her powers, and then she must sacrifice her life to keep the city from flooding again. And this just him denying the sacrifices, returning things to natural order, keeping other weather maidens from having to sacrifice their own lives to keep the city safe or something like that. Yeah, but still, definitely a shocker. I don't think anyone saw that coming. Also, a whole lot of questions about the epilogue of the movie, because as Hodaka is running to try to save Hina, he basically screws up everyone's life. I mean, Natsume gives him a ride in her Vespa to try to get to the shrine gate so he can save her, but this is while he's being chased by the police. I mean, Natsume takes the police on a long chase that results in quite a few accidents, and it doesn't even seem to realize the implications of what she's doing, because halfway through she's like, that's it, I'm going to become a police officer. And Hodaka has to remind her, no, you're not. You're probably going to be arrested for this. There's no way you can become a cop. And she doesn't even seem to realize that. So yeah, I don't recall seeing her at all in the epilogue, but I'm assuming she was arrested. I kind of doubt the cops just ignored her. After all the reckless endangerment she did, I'm assuming she got more than a slap on the wrist for that. So confused. And then there's Kaisuke, who, not gonna lie, when I first saw him at the beginning of the movie, I thought he was gonna be the villain. I mean, everything I saw in the trailers, I assumed Hodaka was gonna get involved in some criminal activities because of Kaisuke, and Hina would have to save him using her weather powers at the movie. That's what I assumed, at least. So yeah, I definitely thought Kaisuke would be a villain, maybe the primary antagonist. Get him involved in a whole bunch of legal stuff throughout the movie, but he's actually a fairly good guy. Just trying to, get custody of his daughter back. Has no problem hiring Hodaka, even though he's an underage kid with no license, even that's incredibly illegal. And yet, at the end of the movie, he straight up punches a cop. Yeah, he gets in a full fist fight with a cop while he's trying to arrest Hodaka, and then at the epilogue, he's running a fairly successful, well-looking business. What happened between these 2 points? I mean, I don't actually know Japanese law that well, but I can't imagine it's a light sentence for assaulting a police officer. I mean, at least a year in jail. I mean, he shows a picture saying this is my last date with my daughter, so I'm guessing he still's in full custody. That's like, oh, that was when her grandmother let me have visitation with her. So did Hodaka just screw up his whole life then, keep him from getting access to his daughter? I mean, at the same time, though, he actually got a business up and running after assaulting police officers, so a lot of questions about that. And then there's Nagi, who I just absolutely freaking love, though. I gotta imagine, beginning of the movie, when I saw him on the bus being an absolute player, I'm like, oh, this kid's just gonna be an ass the entire movie. That was not the case. He was a surprisingly good person. I mean, he absolutely loved his sister. He was willing to put on an absolutely stupid outfit just to help her sell Sunshine. And was actually really nice to Hodaka for the entire movie. And then he cross-dresses to escape police custody. So many questions about all of that. I mean, for one thing, both the girls were straight up flirting with him in police custody while the female police officer was just staring on shocked. And then she refers herself as his ex, so were they breaking up and then they split? I mean, is he still dating the other one? I just have so many questions. I would have loved just 10 straight minutes of him escaping police custody while cross-dressing. I want more of that, seriously. I'd like a whole... I mean, I would seriously like a whole spin-off to this movie that's just him experiencing all this, his day-to-day life, how he convinced these girls to essentially come in so he could steal their clothes and then escape the police. I'm so confused. I am so very, very confused. And then how the heck did he get all the way to the, tower where Hodaka was trying to pass the gate so he could save Hina? A lot of questions about that. Alright, finally, I want to talk about Mitsuha and Taki because I cannot believe what Makoto Shinkai did. He created a shared cinematic anime universe. What the living heck? I mean, seriously, he had the characters from Your Name in this movie, meaning that they are living in the same world. Which also means that shortly after Mitsuha and Taki reunite at the end of Your Name, their entire city is flooded and they're forced to move again. Which makes things a little interesting. I definitely want to know more about that, but the creator said that he's probably not going to make his next movie take place in the same universe because it's hard making a movie about Tokyo when you've essentially sunk Tokyo to the bottom of the sea. Which, makes a lot of sense. Also, just opened up some new interesting information about them. I mean, Taki has a grandmother, and his grandfather just died recently, last year. And yet these people were never mentioned in the last movie. I assumed his father was his only family. We never really any other information about his mother or anyone else, so very curious about that. And we never saw in the first movie him or Mitsuha in his body going to visit his grandmother or grandfather, even mention either of them, so definitely curious about that. I do just love the Taki's advice to Hodaka to get Hina a birthday gift. Let Hodaka to Mitsuha! So yeah, Taki connected someone to Mitsuha when his whole thing was supposed to be him trying to find Mitsuha. That would be, that's weird. That's actually really weird. Also, Mitsuha is apparently selling cheap jewelry in the mall, so that's kind of weird. I assume she'd get a job in the fashion industry or something like that. Her whole thing was, working with fabrics and all that for her entire childhood, so that's what I assumed. And said she's just like a saleswoman in a mall. That doesn't seem quite right. I mean, they're both still fairly young, so she could definitely change jobs eventually. That just felt kind of weird. And kind of just like a way for her to be in the movie. Selling Hodaka the ring they ends up giving to Hina down the road. Weird. Alright, so that was my thoughts on the movie overall. Like I said, a little iffy whether I like this more than Your Name, though I definitely think I'm going to rewatch this down the road when it comes out on Blu-ray or whatever. And definitely want to try and look up the, from what I've seen online, there's a novelization, a manga spin-off of this. Or, not really spin-off, more of a retelling. Definitely want to read those to see if they give any other insight into what happened after all this. I mean, seriously, Hodaka got a gun, fired it multiple times, pointed at police officers, escaped custody multiple times, and somehow his only punishment was him being forced to go live back with his family on that small island. Which I also have a lot of questions about, because we got no information on his life there, on his family, on anything. I mean, him living with Kaisuke, he described as being like a dream, because it was so much better than his family life. What was his family life? I mean, I expected some big realization partway through the movie, like, oh yeah, my parents are violently beating me and doing other stuff that is horrible to me all the time. That's why I ran away, or something like that. Nope. We didn't even see them. No reunion with him. He just went back there, lived with his family for 3 years, and then immediately packed up and said, I'm going back to Tokyo. So, very curious about that. I mean, at the very least, his parents filed a missing persons report, so I guess they cared about him enough to do that, so I'm just not sure. Very strange. Also kind of curious what happened to Nagi and Hina after they were taken into police custody. I mean, she's 15, even though she lied about her age the entire movie. So, were they somehow able to find somebody to take them in? I mean, did Kaisuke take them in? Because he's still, friends with them. They still play with his daughter. That would make some kind of sense. I'm honestly not sure. I'm very confused about all that. But overall, really love this movie. Really glad I went to see it, even though I wasn't feeling well. And quite frankly, I cannot wait for Makoto Shinkai's next work. I mean, he said it's not going to be in the same universe, but I'm really hoping it is. Because that would be absolutely freaking amazing. But let me think it all down below. What do you think of the movie? What do you think of the ending? What do you think of them literally letting all of Tokyo flood and probably thousands die just so he can save the girl he had a crush on? And what do you think of Nagi? I absolutely love that kid. But let me know anything all down below. Be sure to like and subscribe to the next video. And until then,
Peace.